What's going on, guys? I'm going to show you a little bit of tools that I had when I first became a lube guy, whenever I very first started the trade almost 10 years ago. A lot of these tools all here are the exact same tools I had within my first year of starting, probably even sooner than that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of these tools that I wish I had went differently with, and then some of the stuff that I spent good money on to even to this day, I still do not regret. So let's get into some of the stuff that every one of you guys should have right off the bat, and some of the stuff y'all should be waiting on. So let's check it out. So the first thing I want to get into is impact guns. It doesn't really matter which one you get, if you want to go the electric route or you want to get an air route. I've been a mechanic long enough where either one of these, you will know that there's pros and cons to both. I've had things that the electric has taken off that the air wouldn't touch. And I've also had nuts and bolts that were so tight this Milwaukee don't touch it. And then I get out the air impact and it takes it right off. So there's pros and cons to both. I've had this Milwaukee a good handful of years now. It's treated me well. It doesn't matter if you go DeWalt, Makita, Milwaukee. It doesn't matter. Any of them big brands will do you just fine. This Milwaukee here, I absolutely love it. This is one tool I do not regret whatsoever, especially doing things in parking lot. If you're a mobile guy working on a service truck, electric is awesome for when you're a service guy. Now, this air one, this is the very first air impact I ever bought when I very first started. This is a Cornwell. Now, yes, it's a Cornwell, but it is secretly made by Ingersoll Rand. So it's just a blue IR gun is all it is. But I've had this 9 years now. It hasn't failed on me once. I absolutely love it. I think I spent around $300 on that brand new back in like 2015. And this one was probably around $250 without the battery. So neither one of these I have any regrets on whatsoever. Both very well worth the money. And the reason I say to go ahead and treat yourself and get a good impact is these are a type of tools where if you get a cheap one at first, if it doesn't last you that long, or you just decide to upgrade, yes, you're going to spend more money because you're going to buy an upgrade. But think about it. You also spent money on your first impact you bought. Now you're buying the second one. So you're spending more money in the long run. So just go ahead, and if you got the money up front, just go ahead and get a good one. It'll last you a long time if you treat it right. So guys, let's talk pry bars. Other than one of these are all the Mayhew Dominator brand. These are what I went with when I very first bought a good pry bar set. I've went with them, and I'm glad I did. I did not go the Snap-on or Mac route or any of the big tool truck brands. I went with the Mayhew Dominators. I did get these from Cornwell, but I believe I spent $200 on them back when I first started. And even today, I don't really think they're that much of a difference. Maybe even cheaper if you go on Amazon. So you get these guys on Amazon too, guys. There's some tool places that are starting to carry them. I think I heard Home Depot is even going to start carrying them. But I've had these for 9 years. I just recently got a couple new ones. So that's why these are the updated handles versus the old style. But I absolutely love these. These are an awesome pry bar. If I'm not mistaken, Mayhew also makes Cornwell's pry bars. I think they make Matco's, and Max I'm not 100% sure on. So they do make a lot of other company pry bars. And another good thing about them, guys, USA. And you can get these fairly cheap on Amazon. Another pry bar. Y'all might think I'm crazy, but I've made some videos on these. This is Hyper Tough from Walmart. These are made by a company called Wilde, W-I-L-D-E. And they are made in Kansas, right here in the U.S. They also, that company that makes these, Wilde, they also make pry bars for Crescent. They used to make the old school Craftsman pry bars. They also make the Master Force pry bars for Menards. And I think I think they make the Tecton pry bars also. So yes, they're from Walmart, but for the price, it's actually pretty damn good. And since I've been a mechanic the last 9 years, I have absolutely no care that this is in my Snap-on toolbox. I don't care. This is actually a good pry bar. There's my 2 cents on pry bars. So I got these brake tools whenever I very first started doing oil changes. I started doing a lot of brakes too, pretty much right off the bat. So getting a few brake tools were pretty much essential for me. So I worked at a Ford and a Hyundai dealership when I first started, and a lot of rear brakes all had the spin on calipers on the rear. So I got this pretty quickly. This is a Cornwell set. I believe it is made by Astro. So if you want a good quality set that's just like a tool truck brand, definitely check out the Astro brand of this on Amazon, and you will get it for half the price. I think I got this for $100 years and years ago, and you could find these online for like $30, and they're about the same quality. So check out the Astro version of this, and it's going to be half the price of the Cornwell one, guys. Then I also got this ratcheting piston, not piston or spreader, but compressor, I guess you would call it, the compress your pistons in back in your calipers. This is a Cornwell branded one too. I'm not positive who makes this. It might be made by a company called Lang. And I'm actually pretty positive Lang makes this. But I think the only difference in this and the Lang is the Lang has an orange handle versus the Cornwell's obviously going to be blue. So if you want one of these, you don't want to go on a tool truck brand, check out Lang. A lot of you new techs out there that are still new don't realize how many other companies make stuff for a lot of companies on the tool trucks. So I understand you're new to the trade. You like getting a little bit of dead on the truck. You like looking cool and having your new Snap-on or Cornwell and Mac tools and whatnot. But whenever you become a tech later in life and you look back on all those years, you would have wished you just went online and bought the exact same thing for cheaper. Yes, it might be a different color, not match some of your other tools, but it's going to be the exact same thing and do you better in the long run, especially if it still has a lifetime warranty and you can use that warranty just as easy. So here's some basic oil filter changing tools I've had for a long time. Uh, I love these pliers. I love that they are the straight oil filter pliers and they have the slight angle to them. I do not like the ones that angle that way. I'm not a fan, but that's just complete preference with everyone. Now, these are Blue Point. Right there's the part number. These aren't priced too bad, but obviously they're still going to be higher than some other brands. Now, these are 100% identical to the pair that Lyle sells. Now, if you look up the Lyle pairs of these online, I can't remember what the price is, but it is crazy low. I think these were like $75. I bet you can get the Lyle for like 25, maybe 30 on Amazon. I used to have that pair and I somehow lost them, and Snap-on came like the next day. So I ended up getting these boys, but they're the exact same thing as Lyle's. So if you want a good pair of oil filter pliers, out of all different styles that they make, 100% guys, go with Lyle. Now, another thing, I use these a lot. There's a lot of automotive manufacturers that hide them filters way up in there. They're stuck up in the plastic covers underneath cars and whatnot, and these are ideal. Now you can get a Blue Point or Snap-on branded one that costs you over $100. This one right here is Husky from Home Depot. I got it for $8. It has done me very well. Not terribly long ago, after having it for so many years, I had a oil filter. I want to say it was a fuel filter on a Cummins on a Class B truck I was messing with, and it was so crazy tight. One of these ears bent, and it actually put a little crack in it. So I ended up welding it back, and due to the fact how hot it got, messed with the heat treat of it from welding it, and it just didn't last. So I bought another one from Home Depot again that once again cost $8, guys. So the only difference in this and the Blue Point ones is the Blue Point ones will hold up to a little bit more force on them. They're rated for a higher strength. I think the legs are a little bit longer. Now, this pair is only for removing a oil filter. I think the tool truck brand ones, like the Blue Point, you could also use it to tighten. But you don't need to tighten oil filters that damn tight anyway, so I don't suggest using this for that reason anyway. So there's my thoughts on that. Now, since I worked at a dealer, yes, when I was at Ford Hyundai, I mainly worked on Ford and Hyundais. And when I worked at a GM dealer, I mainly worked on GM stuff. But you're going to occasionally always get other manufacturers that come in. And this right here is an oil filter cap for Toyota. Some of the Toyota oil filters have a little 3H drive spot on the bottom. You could just put an extension or a 3H drive ratchet in. Some of them do not. and you have to have one of these filter caps that are meant for the Toyota sized. So I got these very early in my years for doing filters on Toyotas. Other oil filter wrenches that are good to have are the band style wrenches. I didn't really use them that often in the automotive field. I mainly used them in heavy duty. So that's why I'm not talking about them. And they definitely make all sorts of these caps for filters as well. So they are definitely handy and they definitely have those placed, but I never really used them that much. There are certain vehicles that they work great on, and there's a lot of them I'd rather just get my pliers or my claw out. So there's that. Now, another tool that I bought when I first started, these guys used to not be so pricey, but they've definitely went up a lot in value. This is a Blue Point brand. It's pretty much a ratcheting closed end ratchet that is also a flex head. Now, I only ever bought one of these, and I bought it in a 15 millimeter. And the reason why is when I was at Ford and Chevy doing oil changes constantly, almost every drain plug on a Chevy is a 15, and a lot of them on a Ford are a 15. So whenever I would do oil changes over and over, back to back, when I first started out in the trade, instead of getting out my ratchet and the socket or whatever, I just grabbed this and left it right, pretty much right on top of my toolbox. And I just grabbed it, or I'd even just leave it in the top of the oil drain caddy. So I would just use this simply for oil changes over and over. And this is one tool that I am actually really glad I spent the money on because it kind of helped with speed and just made it a little bit easier sometimes. If you're doing constant oil changes in the automotive field and tire rotations, you already know you're going to be checking tire pressures all the time. Now, a gauge like this, you're not really going to use much in the heavy duty world, but in the automotive field, you're going to use a gauge like this all the time. Now, what I want you guys to know is pick your poison. Some of these are $50 and some of them are $200. I bought this years ago, and even probably 9 years ago when I got this, it was probably $150 even back then. Now, this is a Blue Point. It is from the Snap-on truck, but I've probably warranted this guy at least 3 times because the screen would either start going crazy, always be off, or the screen would just quit working altogether. To the point where replacing the battery on the back or hitting the reset button just wasn't doing it. So do your research on these guys. There are plenty of brands such as even Astro also that makes good ones of these, and they are much less than a tool truck brand. Yes, I know you younger guys probably want to buy it because it says Blue Point or Snap-on on it. But at the end of the day, guys, just remember, it's just an air chuck. There's nothing special about it except the name on it. Just get one that's decent quality, that's not going to break the bank. This is one thing I kind of, in a way, regret spending a lot of money on, but at the same time, I wanted one that was going to be accurate. And at least this guy did have a 1.5 year warranty. So the 2, 3 times I've warrantied it has been within that time. And this one still works to this day. And whenever I warrantied it for the 3rd time was probably at least 5 years ago. So this last time around, it has lasted me though. All right, guys, let's talk about some ratchets now. Everyone has their opinions on ratchets. If you should start out with cheap ones, if you should get expensive ones. And I bought a few Harbor Freights when I very first started out. I still have those Pittsburgh ones. I've not had problems with them. But I very early, when I first started, this actually is the first Snap-on ratchet I bought. And even 9 years down the road, this is still my favorite one. I still most commonly use to this day. Now, that being said, Snap-on ratchets are pricey, but whenever you are using them over and over and over all day, every day, I like it to be comfortable. I like it to work right. I like it to be something I really like that has no flaws and works every single time I use it. So these Snap-on ratchets obviously are very expensive, but even to this day, they are something I do not regret spending the money on kind of early in the trade. So everyone might think differently on this, but buy a ratchet. If you're using ratchets over and over all day long, buy ones you like. Because with the warranty on these bad boys, I mean, something happens, you can get them fixed pretty damn easy, obviously. But whenever you get older in life and you got kids or you pass tools down, you really want to pass down a damn Pittsburgh ratchet to your kids? No. Who cares about that? Buy something that you like. Yes, they're pricey, but at the end of the day, it is your money though. But this is one tool I do not regret spending extra money on, guys. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about sockets. Sockets, I kind of got mixed feelings on. I believe that uh, there are lots of companies out there that make very, very good high quality sockets that are not tool truck brands. But I can't talk too much because I have a crap ton of snap-on sockets. Whenever I very first got my first snap-on toolbox, when I first started the trade, not long into it, my dealer had a deal going on where if you bought this $5,000 Classic Series box, it also came with $5,000 worth of SAE and metric sockets and extensions for free with the purchase of this box. That is how I got the majority of my snap-on sockets, if not all of them. Now, that being said, these are some impact sockets I bought from Cornwell. They're the Blue Power brand. Other than a 10 and a 13 that I have lost over the years, the rest of them are still the exact same ones, never been warranted. And whenever I am doing jobs and I don't know what socket I'm going to need, I just grab this out of my toolbox and I take it with me and they go everywhere with me. These are my most used sockets even 9 years down the road, guys. It's this little shallow set that's Blue Power. And if you are going to buy some sockets off a tool truck and you do have a Cornwell guy, these are definitely worth the money. And in my opinion, they really don't break the bank that bad. Now, another company, I just recently got these and I just started kind of finding out more about this company here recently. This is a brand called Capri. I have their deep and shallow in chrome. I have used them over and over for months and months now, and I so far really enjoy them. I've also put these on impact guns pretty much every single day, and I've yet to crack one. Now, Capri also makes mid sockets, so, they go to about here on the deeps. You could also buy 3-row sockets where they come with the deep, the mids, and the shallows. So, or you could just buy mids, or just shallows, or just the deeps. Now, they make impact grade sockets and the chrome, so it depends on what you want, guys. You can go, it doesn't matter what way you go with them. I have another coworker who has some of the impact 3H drives, and I use his time to time, and I love them as well, and I wouldn't mind getting myself a set. So there are all different brands you could definitely check out. Tecton makes good sockets. There's a good handful of brands out there, guys. Gray Pneumatic, Astro makes good sockets. So definitely sockets are not something, in my opinion, you need to just go straight to Snap-on or Matco for day one. Now, another tool that just slipped my head that I did not bring with me is wrenches. So I don't have any to show you right here, guys. Now, some wrench sets that I first bought when I first got into the trade, I bought some Ratcheting Blue Point wrenches. Now, my dealer had a crazy good deal where if you buy the metric set for $300, you get the SAE set for free. So for $300, I get 2 full wrench sets, ratcheting from the Snap-on truck that were the Blue Point brand. Awesome deal. Unfortunately, they no longer do that deal, and they are $450 each now. So I am definitely glad I did that deal. Otherwise, I only own a few Snap-on wrenches out of the last 9 years I've been a professional mechanic, guys. Very rarely have I actually really needed a Snap-on wrench. Even to this day, guys, in my personal opinion, you could have your own opinion. I do not think Snap-on wrenches are worth it. There are definitely other brands out there that do the job just as good. I don't care what you think. That's my 2 cents. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about pliers. I didn't bring a lot with me. I just brought a couple pair to kind of tell the story. When it comes to Snap-on pliers, I'm not the biggest Snap-on plier fan. Now, there are 2 pair of pliers I really like. The Snap-on recently came out with those new needle nose pliers that they sell. They're also called the TikTok pliers that can, they could pick up the nickel or the penny on the side. I really like those needle nose pliers. I didn't care for them at first because I thought they were just hype, but I ended up buying me a pair and I ended up loving them. Now, these Snap-on cutters, I got 2 of these, and I also got the extended length pair. I absolutely love these. If I lost these, I would buy another pair in a heartbeat. They have done me awesome. And when I first started in the trade, I had a couple cheap pairs. I had a Crescent brand. I had a Cornwell that was complete garbage. And other than Crescent, I had a pair of channel locks. None of them lasted whatsoever. But these Snap-ons, I have a red pair I've probably had for 5 or 6 years, and they've been warranted once. And then I bought this pair probably back in 2020, and they're 4 years old now, and I haven't warranted them yet. And this and that red pair I have, I use virtually daily, and they still work awesome. Now, guys, these are pricey. I will be honest. This pair is probably like 50, $60. Maybe if you're at a tool store that sells Knipex, or on the Snap-on truck, these are probably even higher than that. They're probably like 80. You can get these online on Amazon with a warranty still, guys, and they are way, way, way cheaper. But if you guys want some adjustable pliers and you have never gotten to the Knipex brand, do it. They will change you completely. I use these for virtually everything. These are like one of the best pliers ever made. So these guys, they don't really need a whole lot of explaining. They are a ratcheting bit set. Now, I first had this pair. Both of these are Sunex. I had this set for a very long time. Eventually, the hinge broke, and I ended up throwing these in my tool bag to go on a road call or to take something home one day. And a socket set went through there and busted it. So I ended up making this my at-home set because it bothered me with my OCD so bad. I ended up getting this newer Sunex set to replace it. Now, these sockets aren't too bad. They are dual drive, so they're supposed to work with standard and metric. So you just got to be careful. Sometimes they will kind of screw you and they'll want to slip. Now, there are things I definitely prefer differently about either one. Personally, I don't like how this one has a 1/4 inch on one side and the bit driver on the other. I like how this one is just like a ratchet head on one side. There's nothing there. And there's just a bit driver on one side. Now, if you want to turn this into a ratchet, it comes with a 1/4 inch adapter bit. You put that on there. It's kind of rusted up. I ain't used it in so long. And then what you would do is put your 1/4 inch socket on there. I like that a lot more. And the reason I like that a little bit more is because your ratchet is a little thinner. Doing it this way, it's a little bit thicker because of that. And believe it or not, there has been a time that I've needed a crazy small ratchet and a crazy small smot, and that has screwed me. So, and believe it or not, I'm not the biggest flex head guy on this. I think I'd rather have the straight one, but there are times I've needed the flex head. So there's pros and cons to both, in my opinion. But these are both made by Sunex. If you buy them online and not from a tool truck, they're both fairly inexpensive, and they're awesome on doing interior work, guys. I bought this as something I bought definitely in my first year, and I absolutely love, and it's been a lifesaver in a lot of situations. So, guys, this is a tool I bought probably also around my first year, maybe first year and a half being a mechanic. This is a coolant pressure tester. This is a Cornwell brand. And I think I spent probably 150 to 175 bucks on this, probably close to 10 years ago, 9 years ago when I first started, maybe 8 years ago, I guess. That's really not too bad of a price even today. If I'm not mistaken, Snap-on's basic set starts at like over 300. So definitely pick your poison on what you want. You definitely want a good quality set. The Harbor Freight ones, they got the little nipple on the top that you plug that into. Not a fan. I've had so many problems with them. My old shop I used to work at had that. Was never a fan. Now, I'm not 100% sure about all the tool truck brands. I'm sure they are all expensive. But I know if you get the Snap-on tester, guys, if you ever want to buy an individual one for a different car that you're working on, because there's so many automotive brands out there that have different ones, each one from Snap-on is $100 individually. And some of them are even all plastic. Even this one's all plastic except for the top. That's metal. Now, like this one, for example, this is all metal. You know, it's all part steel, and I think that's anodized aluminum. But even the ones that are mainly all plastic from Snap-on, they're $100 or more all too. So, like, whenever I first bought this set, this is what it came with. You got two different styles of the regulars, and you also can use this as an adapter by itself without needing to plug it in on certain radiators. This one works on a lot of Fords, not all of them though. It works on the majority of GMs, and I've used it a crap ton in the heavy duty world because it works on a lot of Freightliner reservoirs. I ended up buying a Volkswagen that ended up being a nightmare, and I regret it on. But I ended up buying this additionally for a Volkswagen. So I don't remember what I paid for that, but pick your poison on these guys. There's been, I don't know how many times from when I first became a mechanic, rather it being a guy coming in for an oil change, I noticed a coolant leak and I wanted to diag it for him, or a guy just came in for a brake job and he ended up telling me he had a coolant leak and wanted it checked out. So versus me doing a brake job or a coolant or an oil change and then sending the car to another tech, if it was just a quick and easy diag, a lot of times us oil change guys would try to find the coolant leak real quick if it was a easy job to figure out. So I used this quite often when I started out, guys. So now all the tools that guys I've showed you tonight, this is all just my opinions. Everyone else is entitled to their opinions. But I feel like this is just me with my 9 years of experience being a mechanic on some of the stuff that you need to go cheaper on and some of the stuff that's kind of okay to spend some money on. But that's just my 2 cents, guys. Hope everyone enjoy the video. Happy wrenching, guys, and see you on the next video.